Today is Monday, April 29th, and this is the ADM Investor Services Weekly Market Kickoff. Please note that the views and opinions expressed here today are solely those of our guests and should not be construed as the views or opinions of ADM Investor Services or ADM. Today's guests are Mark Soderberg, ADMIS Senior Ag Analyst, and Alan Bush, ADMIS Senior Financial Economist. Starting with the grain markets this morning, Mark, with the recent rebound in wheat prices, do you think we've established a low on the charts?
I think there's a pretty good chance that we have. One word that I think would describe wheat market at the moment, and one that hasn't been used for quite some time, and that word is overbought. We've had 7 consecutive higher closes across all 3 wheat classes. The RSI, or Relative Strength Index, is at the highest level in over a year now for both Kansas City and Minneapolis, while at a 10-month high for Chicago. We're seeing mixed trade today as some of the longer range forecasts have offered better prospects for rain in some of the drier areas in southern Russia. Since peaking just over 2 years ago, wheat prices have been on the decline, largely due to big harvests in Russia. So I think the market is going to continue to be very sensitive to weather developments there. Domestically, however, we had big rains over much of the nation's midsection this past weekend. However, somehow they all skipped over many of the key growing areas in the southwestern plains. So I do look for lower crop ratings here in the U.S. this afternoon. Meanwhile, speculative traders just continue to hold a rather sizable short position in wheat. I look for gains to be led by Kansas City, where I have an upside objective of 705, that versus a current price of around 650.
Mark, the next USDA report is 2 weeks away. What will drive ag prices, this week?
Well, we've got our usual weekly data, crop progress and condition this afternoon. I look for corn plantings to be just over 25%, soybeans at just under 20%. Both would be just above their historical averages. I look for spring wheat plantings to be right around 30%. Of course, we got our usual weekly export data along with ethanol production, but there's a few other things that we have on our radar. It's been discussed for some time that on Tuesday of this week, the USDA and EPA will make an announcement on the updated GREET model, which is expected to outline certain farming practices that U.S. corn growers must adopt in order to have corn-based ethanol qualify for tax incentives in the production of sustainable aviation fuel. Hopefully, this will be a nice demand area for U.S. farmers as global share has started to fall in the form of exports. We also have monthly data on soybean crush, corn grind for ethanol production as well, along with biofuel capacity and production. I think the key here will be whether we start to see some recovery in the amount of bean oil used in renewable diesel production.
Lastly, Mark, how about the money managers? Where are they positioned currently?
They were big buyers this past week at just over 98,000 contracts in the ag space. However, they're still pretty heavily short. That did cut their short position out to just under 400,000 contracts. Overall, they still net short in feed grains, net short in soybeans and soybean oil. However, now they have flipped it around a little bit and got a long position in the meal of about 20,000 contracts. So that's the one lone area they do hold a long position now.
Good morning, Alan. Alan, what will Federal Reserve Chair Powell say in his press conference following the FOMC statement on Wednesday?
Okay, well, I think there's a very good chance that Powell will pivot back to a hawkish stance, and that would reverse his dovish commentary at the beginning of this year. You recall in the beginning of 2024, the Fed was broadcasting that key interest rates have peaked and are trending lower. However, the tone has changed more recently in favor of a higher for longer monetary policy. And the reason for this is that inflation has not sufficiently declined, and there has not been a significant slowdown in U.S. economic growth. So a September cut still appears to be possible now. In fact, the probabilities show that there's a 62% chance of a rate cut in September. But that probability has been diminishing gradually, and I would not be surprised if that is off the table in the next month or so. And then I think we're looking at a December rate cut. So look for the Fed to be on the hawkish side in their commentary. That would argue for a higher dollar. It would also argue for lower interest rate futures markets.
Alan, the copper market's been rallying. We haven't talked about this market much recently. What's the next upside chart objective?
Okay, well, first of all, there have been some supply disruptions that have supported copper, taking it substantially higher, but I don't think it's done yet. No sign of a top. And in fact, the next chart objectives I see are also, as far as a major resistance, there's an October high, October of 2021 high coming in at 482 area. Then there's another high at the 490 area from May of 2021. And then after that, we're looking at the March 22 high of 501. So there's a lot left, I think, to the upside in the copper futures market.
Finally, Alan, what are the top economic reports that traders will be watching this week?
Okay, well, Tuesday we'll have the April Consumer Confidence Index guessed at 104. And of course, Wednesday, probably the most important event this week is the FOMC meeting and Powell's press conference. And then on Friday, non-farm payrolls guessed at 100 and up 130,000 and the unemployment rate at 3.8%.
Can either one of you guys tell me who's going to win the Kentucky Derby?
No, but I'm working on that. I've got a formula, but not just yet.
All right. Thank you both. Remember, the views and opinions expressed today on this video are solely those of our guests and should not be construed as the views or opinions of ADM Investor Services or ADM. If you'd like more information about our brokerage services, like to speak to one of our experts about managing your risks, or would like to open a trading account, please visit www.admis.com.